Welcome, everybody, to the Exit Is Now podcast with me, your host, Scott Snider. We're back in the studio for the second time this year with my father, my business partner, the CEO of the Exit Planning Institute, the creator of the methodology, the author of Walking to Destiny, for the second time. I'm trying to have Dad back in the studio at least once a quarter this year because it's really a big year for us. So last year we celebrated 10 years of owning and developing the Exit Planning Institute. And this year I would say that there's really two big ones that stand out that are another 10-year anniversary. Probably the biggest is we're celebrating 10 years of the value acceleration methodology. For those of you that don't know, the methodology that is taught to our certified exit planning advisors and that business owners follow to grow value in their companies. Celebrating 10 years of that, and then we're also celebrating 10 years of our state of owner readiness research. Mm-hmm. So a couple of big 10 years as well. Wanted to have Dad back because it's also been a big week. So this week we launched for pre-order Walking to Destiny 2.0, the second edition. For those of you that are familiar with the book Walking to Destiny, it's a blue cover versus a green cover. It's expanded, it's updated. We'll get into the book specifically with him. And we launched it this year in particular because of the 10 years of the value acceleration methodology. The book has been out maybe 7 or 8 years. And I think that really the loose theme is this kind of evolution of our profession and the evolution of exit planning. But nonetheless, I want to dive into it. You can get your pre-order copy at walkingtodestiny.com. The book launches at the Exit Planning Summit on May 22nd. So May 22nd, exitplanningsummit.com if you want to check out the event. You'll have bulk order opportunities, all kinds of cool stuff leading up from now all the way to that in-person event. But nonetheless, Dad, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. I think we have a lot to talk about. So I want to dive in and maybe give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at Walking to Destiny 2.0 because I know it was another, even though a second book, another kind of big process. So kind of let's rewind a little bit. 10 years of the value acceleration methodology. I guess that would be 8 or so years of since Walking to Destiny.
2016.
Yeah,
so 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years since 1.0 came back. I think we all know, and a lot of our dedicated listeners know, both owner and advisor, it's certainly the whole profession has made a huge leap since you launched the methodology. Totally. So let's just walk back. For Walking to Destiny 2.0, what was the inspiration behind saying, hey, man, I got to rewrite this thing and perhaps add to it?
It's time for an update. Yeah.
An update.
Well, first of all, it's been 7 years. And just think about how the profession has changed and grown over the last 7 years. There is just so much more to say,
Well, think about it. The CEPAs that are learning this and teaching it, from 2016 to 2023, it's like 10 times more CEPAs in the market than there were,
Yeah,
or more.
It's more like 20 or 30 times.
And there's way more Walking to Destiny 1.0 circulated than.
Right.
There's more bulk orders going out to their owners. There's more owners reading it. So, yeah, absolutely. It's just
I'm
sheer
meeting
volume.
with a group of business owners this afternoon, about 25 of them that have all read Walking to
Exactly right.
But yeah, there was so much, you think about how the profession has grown, how many more CEPAs there are, plus, the principles and the concepts and the processes that I wrote about in Walking to Destiny 1, they're much more proven now, right?
Absolutely.
And we've also learned things that maybe weren't quite right, that we needed to change and get updated. One of the things that I think I mentioned to you is like the concept of the wealth gap isn't even in Walking to Destiny 1.
I know, isn't that wild?
And
it's such a big part of what we do
It's such
today.
a big part of what we do. It was something I came up with after I had released Walking to Destiny 1. The first version of Walking to Destiny 2 had 94,000 words in it.
The first rendition of this.
The first, Walking to Destiny 2. Which was 21,000, 22,000 more words than the first book. So there was a lot more to say, and then that's really...
Well, I remember when you came back from being away to write about it, and you were like, hey, man, this is almost like 100,000 words.
Yeah.
I was like, Dad, I think you might have 2 books there.
We did think about maybe we should break it up into 2 books.
Or some supplements. I think we have some nice things for our certified exit planning advisors and our advisors in the community, too, that you'll also see in May once it officially launches. that are some nice supplemental materials, exercises, bonus chapters,
Yeah.
a lot of cool stuff that actually came out of that.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's how we got the book kind of cut down, because it didn't really want to, I felt like it was all relevant content, but,
Yeah.
the book was so much larger. It's just a hard book to read when it gets that big. So I think actually it was Jeff Cochran, my book coach, and I think Paige actually suggested we make supplements,
Yeah.
and so just pull these pieces out. We can make them downloadable material on the website, so we can get them out of the core of the book, but people still have access to that information,
Yeah, absolutely. So what did this come down to be? Because I think page-wise, we're similar in size to the first one.
It's bigger.
You think it's bigger? It is. Or
I know
guess
it
you
is.
would know it's bigger.
It's over it's 307 pages, I think.
That's
and
true. It
Walk
is
to
true.
Destiny 1 is 262 pages, and it's the same font size. So,
So naturally
it
it's
is
bigger.
more. There's a lot more in it. It's I don't want to say it's a completely different book. It's not. It still follows the core methodology, but like section 2, where you helped me kind of get that organized, we organized that around the way we teach it now, which is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
See, another great concept that we write white papers on this. We teach it this way at the SEPA program. For the business owners or business leaders listening to, when we were to talk to folks like you, we would probably start with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because it's just a very simple, take the 300 pages, digest it into a short conversation. So why don't you share, I guess, what 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is?
So that was your idea, and you said, hey, why don't you redo those concepts the way we really teach it, which is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 stages of the Value Maturity Index, 4 C's, 3 legs, 2 concurrent paths, and 1 goal, which equals value.
Yeah.
Now, the first book, I didn't even have a chapter on value, believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing is about
the
value.
value acceleration.
I
chapter,
talked
yeah.
about, at the time, I said 4 core concepts, which were the 3 legs and the relentless execution,
Right.
right? The 5 stages and the 4 C's. Now what I've done is relentless execution is really about the 2 paths, executing relentlessly on 2 paths. And so we've changed that chapter to be 2 paths, but it's really a lot of what came in the chapter on relentless execution is in that chapter. And then, the other thing we get down to one goal, focus on value, and it drives all other positive outcomes. I kind of had that buried in the 5 stages. It really didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was in there because that chapter in the original book said, 5 stages of value maturity. And it said, income versus value. So it was kind of buried in there. So I just decided it's such an important concept that to pull that out and just write a whole chapter on value, right? So
Absolutely.
a lot of that's been pulled out. And it's a good way to end that section too, with the focus on value before we take them into how to actually do that.
Yeah, how to actually execute.
Yeah.
I do like how you relentless execution is obviously a huge thing for us here at EPI. It sits above our virtual classrooms. For those of you that have come through courses, you've probably seen it around our office. You've heard us talk about it on blog posts. And I do agree. I think it is perhaps a core concept of value acceleration. But that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, none of it can really happen without the pursuit of this relentless execution, results-driven nature, really across all 3 legs of the stool.
I mean, to me, that's where you win or lose the game. It's
Exactly
all about, how, you can take all the concepts you want, right? And intellectually, it's stimulating. But what does it mean if you don't put it into
make
action,
it happen,
right?
Just an idea.
So the whole thing is it really gets down. And, what I write about in there is that your ability to execute well, relentlessly well, alone could be the differentiator between you and your competitor, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people come up with great ideas. There's some really smart people out there. But, there's not a lot of people that can actually do it and make it happen. And that's, when you learn how to execute really well, that's when you start delivering amazing results.
Yeah. Both in an income style and a value style too, right? Immediate benefit into the business, and then long-term value.
Well, I think that's the other thing I try to emphasize more in this book, and I was talking on another podcast yesterday about it, is you don't have to, it's a new term I'm using in the new book. I'm saying, exit planning or value acceleration is a multiplier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not an either or.
Yeah,
It's not
right.
about choosing more income today and having an exit down the road. It's not about, this or that. It's both. It's inclusive. It's a multiplier. So the beauty of the model, and I think what we've really seen happen since Walk to Destiny 1 came out, is that it does position you for an exit at a premium price, right? Regardless of which option you go. The probability of success becomes extremely high, but it delivers benefits right now. It's like you don't have to choose between the future and today. You can have both, if you use
Such
the
a good point.
methodology. And that's, I think that I try to emphasize that a little bit more is like, forget the future, really. Focus on today. And you'll build the future that you want by focusing on, delivering value every day.
It's amazing that you talk about that and focus on that. I would say that that's a difference between 1.0, the original Walking to Destiny, and the new one that's coming out.
Yeah.
I refer to what you're talking about as this value acceleration centric lifestyle.
Yeah,
Because
right.
to your point, it's not either or. It's you get both if you just
get both.
embrace the process, the
If you embrace
methodology,
the
the
lifestyle.
approach. You have this value acceleration centric lifestyle.
Right.
And I think it's interesting that you mentioned it, right? Because really the Exit Is Now podcast for me this year is really all about topics and people and showcasing how I as an entrepreneur and we as business owners have developed and used your own methodology in our own company to go from 2012 to 2023 in a company that has embraced a lot of growth and who also is a family company and who also is always, like many owners, trying to balance this business, personal, and financial, or like Justin Goodbread would say when he was on the show, this blended lifestyle between the three. But yeah, I would call that a value acceleration centric lifestyle. And yeah, it is not. It's just hitting me. It's not an either or. You will get income and value if you just embrace the lifestyle, and you will also get a balance or blended life between business, personal, and financial if you just live and execute the concepts and process and methodology.
That's it. And not only, so the question is, how do I do that? Well, that's still in section 3. I tell you exactly how to do that. Step, maybe painstakingly detail of how to actually walk through each of the gates. Because that was another thing that was important to me in the first book, is I didn't want, sometimes I read a book and I get, intellectually or stimulated. I get ideas from it.
Right.
But then I don't know how to put it into practice, And so what I wanted to make sure in my first book and in this book is, I'm going to give you these ideas, but then I'm going to show you what you have to do when you get back to your office or back to your factory or back to your distribution center on Monday. Here's what you have to do, right? Do this, step 1, step 2. So I actually walk you through how to do it, not just teach you what's most important. So another thing that was a little different is I reframed that saying section 2 is really their leadership concepts. They're the things you need to do to lead, right? The 4 C's, the 5 stages, the 3 legs. Those are leadership principles.
Right.
And then section 3 is more about management, not leadership. It's more about executing. Okay, so how do I actually execute these leadership principles into creating this life, this value acceleration centric life?
Yeah, I just think that we could have a whole show on this. Our people behind the glass that produce our show are probably hopefully taking a bunch of notes, because this is what is exit planning here, right? This is frankly one of the struggles I think that the industry has right now. I want to talk to you a little bit about this kind of evolution of exit planning, and then what's the next evolution, where are we going? But I think one of the struggles that we have, going back to this, it's not a either or, it's both.
It's a multiplier.
It's a multiplier, is one of the struggles about identifying what exit planning is. So we have this question bopping around right now, the office, that what is the definition of exit planning, right? Like if you turn to a Webster's dictionary,
you can just open Walking to
you
Destiny.
You can open Walking to Destiny, and there's one here. And I think one of the struggles, though, is that when people still hear exit today, maybe the business owner community, they think, well, I'll do that 3 to 5 years before I exit, or 12 months before I exit.
No.
And though exit it is about the exit in a nature. It's about right now, not the future. It's just this combination. It's value acceleration. What is exit planning to me? Well, it's value acceleration. And then what is that? It's this combination of these three things, business, personal, and financial, that allow you to live a better lifestyle, I guess, in a sense.
I was doing some coaching for one of our big financial services clients, and what I was telling them is, you get your credential, and as a SEPA and going through value acceleration and going through the course, you now have with that designation you're different. It's a differentiator for you in the marketplace. What I'm challenging them is, how are you differentiating yourself when you get in front of an owner, because you have this credential, right? Mm-hmm. And the advice I give them is to go to the chapter on changing your paradigm, because that's where the 11 actions are, right? 11 actions to change your paradigm and evolve your mindset, and that's really what makes the way we do and define exit planning, or the way a SEPA is different. All you have to do is look at those 11 actions, and it'll say, and you should incorporate that into your language.
Yeah.
Because what you're going to want to do is when you're describing why you're different to a potential client, that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
So you say in there, we don't just focus on making you more money. We focus on making you more money and driving a tremendous wealth, 5 to 10 times more wealth.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't get somebody's attention. So if you just go through the paradigm shifts, that's how you should differentiate yourself in the marketplace, right? Because that's what makes value acceleration so good, that it works.
So before we dive into kind of more about the methodology and the second edition and all of that, maybe give people a little bit of behind the scenes. I think any author listening right now knows that creating a book, talk about these ideas and then getting them into a book and getting it all executed and out there, between the authorship, the creativity, the collaboration, the partners that go into actually creating all of this, it's quite a process. I remember when you wrote the first one, you went down to like Bonita Springs, Florida, Naples, Florida, which is one of our family's favorite spots. Had a timeshare thing down there since I can remember. One of the first guys that I think even bought into the place before it was even built.
Right.
So I think that was one of the best things, though, for you, right? Is when you wrote the first one, was just getting away for a month or whatever it was to actually just get alone with yourself and get creative. So if you read the first one, you know that he went down to a Bowman's Beach.
Bowman's Beach and Sanibel Island.
Sanibel Island. So what did you do this time? Where was this written?
So this was written just up the road from that in Captiva Island, which is even a little more tropical than Sanibel, at Tom Terrell's Island House.
Oh,
so he had a home about a block off the beach.
Yep.
And it was just a nice little home. It had I really liked the open space, so it had a big white dining room / kitchen table.
Yeah.
And the kitchen and the living sitting area were combined. This isn't a big house now, but it's comfortable, And the walls were all white, and it had windows all around it, It had real nice master bedroom with a comfortable bed. And my typical routine is, and this is the way I wrote the first one too. I get up, and the first thing is my mind is like cranking,
Yeah.
And I get some coffee made, and I literally sit down and start writing.
So mornings are the best for you.
Mornings are the best. And what I'll do is I'll write until or type until my hands fall off. There were days, I joke about it, there were days that I'd get up and start writing at 6 a.m, and it'd be like 2:00 in the afternoon, and I'm still in my shorts. I haven't even brushed my teeth yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
it's
right. Yeah.
Because it's you have to
jamming.
get yourself into a flow, right? Where these ideas. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I find that I can go maybe 3 hours or so, and then my brain just starts to hurt, right? And so that's why I like to be on the beach, because then I can put on some shorts and I can go for a walk on the beach, clear my head, think about things, maybe listen to some music, and then when I come back, I'm refreshed.
Right.
So what I did the first time is that would be my routine. I'd go out right from 6 to 9:30. I'd go out for a walk about 10, come back at 11, have something to eat, and then I would pack up my stuff, and I would go to Bowman's Beach to that picnic table in the sun.
Yeah.
And I'd literally sit there at that picnic table until maybe 3 o'clock, typing away. And then I would go do something like a hike or, for swim or something like that. This time around, because I had the home, and it was, it was really hot. I mean, that month was so hot.
Yeah.
You didn't even want to go outside I
really
don't even think I could have sat outside like I did with the first book.
Did you write in a different season? The first one or the second one?
Yeah. So the first one, I really did it earlier in the year when, I think it was February when I went down. Yeah. So the weather was, this time I went down in June and July and August, which is like the worst time to be in Florida.
Yeah, right.
But that's just the way the timing worked out, So, but yeah, Tom's place was great. Tom was great. And it just gave me a really, it was a really nice place to write. In fact, so in the acknowledgments, I actually have a picture now of Tom's house, and
it's very cool.
I asked Tom if I could to do that. And he said,
great.
He's in the insurance business, so he's, he was delighted that I was there writing,
producing
at his
a book.
Home.
Yeah, very cool. I think that would be very cool, and I think that process to process too. One of the things I saw is that what is different than 2016 to 2022 when you started writing this new version is you have this beautiful lake home with Mom now too.
Yep.
And you started right down
I
there,
tried.
right? You tried, but then you leaned into going back down to Florida, which ended up being your sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, the book's I've been working on the book. I actually went back and looked at this. I started the book in March of 2022.
Yeah,
that's when I first started writing, and I was going down to the lake house. I'm thinking, well, I got this lake house, I can go down there. But the challenge is that when I go to my lake house, it's a place of relaxation.
Right. Sure.
You walk into the lake house, and it's just like
Yeah.
And so when you go in there and now you're switching it up and you're saying, well, now I'm going to come in here and work, right? I just couldn't get into the vibe there. Plus, the beach is my happy place, and I think it was you actually that said, Dad, just go to the beach. Just, that's where you're happiest. Go to the beach.
That's true.
And so I think I went like March and April, up here. And then I don't think it was May, but I think May was a pretty busy month. It always is for us.
It always is for us.
So then May was kind of like the summit and all that stuff was going on. So in June,
it's like June or July.
Started going to Florida and July and then in August again. 3 rounds in Florida, basically. I'd be down there for 3 weeks at a time, by myself.
Right.
With one thing. I kept telling myself, I show up, I kept saying, I'd get up in the morning and say, you got one thing to do today.
Yeah.
You got to write.
That's
all you have to do.
Down.
Right.
Yeah,
and
sure.
the thing is, I'd love to do it that way, and I would recommend that to authors if they can do it. The beauty is that I have a team.
Yeah.
I have a son, and I have a team that doesn't need me. I think when you were interviewing Jesse and when you did the podcast with Jesse and Paige, they were talking about how they decentralized me out of the business, which is sort of weird.
Weird to say as an owner.
Well, not to say it. They said it, but it was kind of, while I was watching, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. They're talking about decentralizing, but they have. And so the advantages that creates, it's another lesson for business owners, is that you can go do stuff like this,
It's true.
and dedicate, full time to writing, a book, which I needed to do because there was so much more to say.
Yeah.
And when you write a book, you also write the book like at least 4 times. So the first time you write it, it's really just a brain dump. You're just typing away, and whatever flowing, you're letting it flow. It was a little more difficult actually this time because I already had written something, and I was trying not to rewrite it, but I have all these new ideas. And the big, I think it was actually harder to write because I had to integrate these new ideas with what I had already written, and so, but the first time you write, you just type away and you just let it flow, whatever it's come. That's why when I got done and I'm counting up the word count, I'm like, I'm looking at the Word doc. I'm like, holy, it's 94,000, almost 100,000 words.
Yeah.
Like, this is way bigger than, and even my book coach was like, yeah, you got to do something about that, you know.
Yeah.
But he said, you did the right thing. He's like, you know, the first time through, that's what you do. Get all your ideas down. And then, so that's what I did. I did that by June, I had that done. July, I went back to sort of write the second version. Okay, I got to get this into something that flows better.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just a bunch of jumbled ideas. And I think I got it down to like, you know, I don't know, 80,000 words, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third round in August. I actually had the book finished in November.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
November of last
a
year,
lot of
yeah.
people don't realize too is that, you know, the book goes through several edits.
Yep.
Right. And you know, the editing process was much more extensive this time around.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I really like about it is I just feel like my ideas are clearer. I mean, I guess we'll find out from other people.
Well, yeah.
But I just feel like it just feels like crisper and cleaner and clearer to me this time around, which you would expect it would, having another 7 years of experience with it.
So I want to get into that. I wanted to get into what is exit planning, the evolution of exit planning, and why this is clear. So for our audience, give us a quick couple minutes. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and dive into the content of Walking to Destiny 2.0 or second edition.
Walking to Destiny was written to arm business owners and their advisors with the knowledge and understanding needed to recognize their potential, execute growth tactics, and harvest the wealth locked inside a business. Originally written in 2016 by the creator of the Value Acceleration Methodology, Chris Snider, Walking to Destiny 2.0 features a fresh and evolved look into the proven system to maximize value, grow income, and build a business that can be run without you, even if you never plan to leave. Discover how to align your business, personal, and financial goals. Distinguish between your business's attractiveness and readiness to transition. Measure the value of your intangible assets that likely contribute 80% of your company's value. Adopt a process to measure your results every 90 days. Walking to Destiny is the foundation for the Exit Planning Institute's Certified Exit Planning Advisor Credentialing Program. More than 5,000 advisors hold the CEPA designation, the world's leading exit planning credential. Grab your copy of Walking to Destiny 2.0 by visiting www.wtddownloads.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Exit is Now podcast. So Chris shared a little bit of a history of kind of the Walking to Destiny second edition book that comes out May 22nd, but also is on pre-order right now. I want to kind of keep diving in and getting a little bit of a behind the scenes, if you will, on the content of this book. And I would say that if you are in the exit planning profession, I think one of the big, maybe loose themes that we've seen this year so far is this evolution of exit planning. We've probably talked about it a little bit even in the first segment. The new book is coming out. I think the business owner market is evolving. I think the approach, the process has evolved. You talked about in the first kind of segment of the show, more owners have naturally just have been exposed to the methodology, so have been using it. And it's 10 years of the value acceleration methodology being out in the market, being used by owners and advisors. So looking at, and we touched on this a little bit in the first segment, and I kind of want to hone in on it a little bit. You know, it's been 7 years or so since Walking to Destiny 2.0, and I think it kind of starts with the evolutions of the thoughts that were in the first book to the second book. And I'd like to just kind of elaborate on that, and I really go back into some of the show notes where I was just walking, or typing or writing down notes, is this concept again of embracing this value acceleration centric lifestyle and how a business owner can do that. Can you talk to that for a little bit?
How the owner embraces the lifestyle?
Like how. So it's a book for owners by an owner.
Yeah.
And so if I'm thinking about, if I was an owner or an executive that supports an owner and read 1.0, and it's now even, you talked about, you felt before we left for the break, we talked about it being a little bit more clear to you.
Yeah.
So talk to us maybe about that clarity.
Well,
how has it become so clear?
Well, I think that's another reason why we felt a new addition was required. I have 7 more years of doing this too,
Right.
Plus I have the feedback of thousands of SEPAs now who are doing this. And they give me feedback. So, more clients. I was talking yesterday, this afternoon I'm going to meet with a group of business owners. Some of those owners I've known for 14 years.
I know, right?
They were clients 14 years ago with me.
know.
So they've evolved. And I think the other thing is I've evolved as an owner. That's the thing I'm going to share with them today is like, I'm not really speaking to you as the CEO of the Exit Planning Institute today. I'm speaking to you as an owner, just like you are, in a family business who's going through a transition, right?
Right.
Who's doing
Totally.
personal planning, who turned 60, in
during that
2000
time.
just a few years ago. So I think what makes the methodology work so well is it's real, and we live it. I live it. And I think those experiences of being an owner myself, not just working with other clients who are owners, is in this book. In fact, I do share some personal stuff in this book of my own process of taking care of myself and going through personal and estate planning, the process, as I approached my 60th year, I knew that I needed to get more serious about the way I was handling my personal affairs and my personal plans. I mean, I'm human. Just because I'm the CEO of the Exit Planning Institute doesn't mean I'm not human. I'm human, just like everybody else.
Exactly right.
So since I wrote Walking to Destiny 1, which was 2016, I've gone through that whole process myself, plus a number of other client experiences. So that's why I think the clarity has come, because I've done it so many more times, and I've now done it for myself in my own business, both personal, financial, business.
Yeah.
And I've seen the results.
I think that is such spot on. It's so interesting that you say that too. You go into this owners roundtable, and maybe 7 years ago you would approach them more as a educator.
Yeah, it's probably the
you
managing partner of Aspire Plus.
Yeah, right. And the CEO of the Exit Planning Institute, the head of faculty, the person teaching this. But that, I guess, I just having an aha moment, because I do think that I always talk about growing up through value acceleration, because it's the only way I've known how to run businesses. And since you've basically loosely taught me this methodology before it even existed in 2002.
Yeah.
But you've kind of grown up through it too, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because you launched it in 2013 with no one really knowing about it other than your firm and the clients that you had.
Yeah.
Then you taught it to 5,000, 6,000 SEPAs who are teaching it to their clients.
I mean, I would say we commercialized it 10 years ago. But
Sure.
I had been, it was the core. It was part of BIGS at BIGS. It was my core process at Aspire Management. I started my first company in 2001. I was 41 years old, and it failed within a year, right?
Yeah.
And I went back and ran a couple of companies, and then started Aspire Management in 2006. So I was already 46 years old. I had spent most of my career working for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And doing some great things for them, but not for myself. And so the methodology has actually helped me as a business owner,
100%.
right? Grow my businesses.
Right.
Since 2006, when I became really an entrepreneur myself,
I know. I think it's interesting is that because when we bought EPI 2012, it was me and you.
Yeah,
I
know.
And we had a couple of guys in Chicago where EPI was founded and based, where we kept the company before we decided to move it to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And kind of take it over 100%. And I left Aspire Management to go run this company 100% for us.
Yeah.
And to your point, I guess if you even break down those 10 years of the EPI history of us, is that we were more managers and owner-operators for the first 5.
Yeah.
Then for the last 3, 5 maybe, but certainly the last 3 years, you have totally switched from operator and owner to certainly more strategy and visionary, but maybe even more so and even more importantly for a lot of the owners listening. And you talked about this even in the pre-show, is one of the big things in this book is that there's a lot more personal and financial into it.
Definitely.
And we just said that when we were talking about before we walked into the studio, that our financial advisor said that was your estate plan, our family's estate plan was one of the best he has seen.
He said our estate plan is 1 in 300.
Yeah,
that's how tight it is.
Yeah.
Now you would hope that
right.
the CEO of the exit plan would have a pretty good estate plan, but you know what I've talked about with you and what this is one of the things I'm talking to the owners about this afternoon is my own personal journey of going through personal and financial.
Living it as an owner.
Again, it's not BS. It's like I'm actually doing it for myself. And, you know, I was mentioning to Paige, you know, I've helped dozens, you know, I don't know, hundreds maybe of business owners go through this process. Now, I tend to focus on the business stuff and hire a financial advisor, or not hire, but partner with a financial advisor to lead that path. But it's different when you go through it yourself versus taking somebody else through it. It's a whole different experience. And so, like I say, that's having been through that myself, and I share some of those insights in Walking to Destiny 2. It's a whole different kind of I have a whole new appreciation for how challenging it is to go through personal and financial planning. The business stuff was always sort of second nature to me.
Yeah.
But the you know, and again, I didn't really get that involved on the personal and financial, but usually partnered with somebody who kind of led that path. So I talk about, you know, how I went through and put my estate plan together. I had some major health issues I had to work through.
Yeah.
I talk about the importance of, you know, having a successor ready, having a team that can run the business without you, the importance of investing time in money in the 4 C's, you know, the 3 legs, like all the stuff that we teach, like it's real. And I was actually affected by 4 of the 5 D's in just the last 3 personally, right?
Yeah.
In the last 3 years. And, you know, so I've been through that myself, and I know what it feels like. Yeah. And I look back on that, and, you know, we've come out of that pretty strong.
Strong, right? I think we're very strong.
I don't think there's any doubt about it that we've come out the other side. But we could have had a much different outcome had we not, I'm saying you and I as partners and our family, had not been prepared, right?
Exactly.
These things come around and you never expect them, right? And when they come quick and they hit you, it's a blow to the gut. They hit you hard. And you hit the ground hard. Yeah. And if you're not, you know, prepared, you're going to have trouble getting up, you know. Mm-hmm. And I look back and say, well, we were prepared. We had done all those things that we preached that people should do. We did them ourselves. And as a result, I think we were able to get through that period, which was pretty rough, and come out really strong on the other side, you know.
Yeah, I mean, think about that when it goes back to kind of my original question coming out of the break was like the what is different from the first to the second? Like unbelievably real stories that you can personally share by now going through your entire methodology holistically, business, personal, and financial.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through my whole methodology.
Now you have.
Not just taking other people, and I've been through all 3 legs. I've been through the 5 D's. You know,
your company's much larger.
You know, the only thing I haven't been through is divorce. Thank God.
I'm 40 plus years
41
running.
Years now, so I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't ever happen. But you know, it's reality. You know, and that's what business owners got to realize. Like that's why you have to be prepared. You know, because if you're not prepared and you get hit by one of these things, you know, it could take you out.
So let's talk about that business owner market because that's evolved, right? We used to talk about 10 years ago when the methodology was created, 7 years ago when Walking to Destiny. I think one of the biggest changes, too, is the opening of Walking to Destiny. Yeah. Walking to Destiny original was very focused on the baby boomer generation, which I think naturally is your ideal market if you're a professional advisor. They are more immediate in that harvest manage, wanting to get up to that harvest and manage stage. But that has changed. 60%, it's not 60% anymore. Something like 51% is owned by the baby boomers, and we see these emerging generations owning companies. How are they embracing this?
So
or how do you want them to?
That was another thing that I thought had to be updated is the market data, because the market dynamic has changed quite a bit, and it's really good news for the exit planning profession.
I think so.
So your baby boomers, when I wrote it, it was 7 years ago, but I was kind of writing it like almost using data from 10 years ago. Yeah, they own 2/3 of the privately held businesses. That's down to about 51%. I estimate about 1 million businesses have transferred from baby boomers to some other generation. Most of that has gone to Gen X. Non-baby boomer generations, primarily that is made up of Gen X, own 49% now. So it's almost 50-50.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And so where you had, the interesting dynamic for you to think about, if you're an advisor or an owner, is, boomers have been driving social economic values and systems since 1946, like 75 years ago, and they've been in the driver's seat. And we all, saw this age wave thing coming, but it's here, like it's actually happening. And they're not the drivers anymore, right? They still do have most of the wealth, but that's changing. Like 50% of the wealth, in businesses at least, is not owned by a baby boomer. And that's roughly $9 to $10 trillion non-baby boomer. Now, here's the interesting dynamic, though, and why it's good news for our profession. Boomers will go from an average age of 68 to 78 in the next 10 years. Think about that. The average boomer 78. I think the youngest is going to be 69.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you as a 63-year-old,
Yeah.
you start thinking about things when you hit 60, 65 years old. It's just human nature.
Right.
Like Pete used to say, you're mortal, you're human.
Yeah.
So they still have 3 million businesses valued at almost $10 trillion. Like something, do you think the rate of transitions of boomer businesses is going to accelerate or decelerate,
Right.
or
Exactly.
stay the same?
Yeah.
It has to accelerate. What's going to happen? You can't have all these old guys, running these businesses, so that's going to change. And then the other dynamic that I think is even more significant is this next generation, this Gen X, and to some degree the millennials. They're not quite there yet, but the Gen X average age in this year is 50.
Right.
And as you know through our research, they're telling us they want to exit in their 50s by 55.
Yeah, seeking a much more balanced. They're
More
definitely not
holistic,
working until 70.
They're not right. They view things completely. Their social and economic value systems are much different than boomers.
Right.
And so what does that mean? Well, what that means is they look at their business as a catalyst to something greater. They want to get the wealth out of the business and go do something more holistic, more fulfilling, and more balanced.
Yeah.
And so they're saying they're also much more educated, because we've been around. I would like to think we've been having some influence.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's much more educated about this now and the importance of it. So they're going to go from 50 to 60 average. And most of them are saying, I want to be out by 55. So what does that tell you? That means you're going to see the rate of transitions of Gen X-owned businesses increase too, and that's probably another 2 million businesses, maybe 2.5 million businesses. So you've got this mix of, of really a large portion of the market, 80% of the market, that's very likely to turn over. That's 5 million businesses, and and probably about $16 trillion. When I was talking to a group of financial advisors, I was telling them, I don't know if you guys planned to be in the financial advisory business at this time, but if you did, you're brilliant.
Yeah, right? What a great time. Tons of wealth.
There's tons
potential
of potential wealth transfer. And now what I feel very, very positive is that we have so many more SEPAs out there today who are available to help these business owners. I really feel like we're going to see a lot of wealth being created here in the next 10 years. I just have a very positive outlook about the run for the exit planning profession in the next 10 years.
And for the business owners, right? I think that if we could do it and do it right, and they've embraced everything in here, working with the right folks, it's going to be a great run for them too. These people that are 50 years old on average who are seeking that balance,
Yeah.
They're going to get it, and they're going to get it better than they've probably ever had.
I mean, mine was telling me about somebody she knew that had a business, and he shut it down because he wanted to retire. And I'm like, why did
Why
he
would you
sell
do
it?
that?
You know, like,
Come on, man.
she's like, I don't know. You know, he just shut it down. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I know the business.
Yeah.
That business, I have not done a triggering event for
Right.
the business, but I know the business, and it's probably a business that could have been sold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would he just walk away from all that wealth just to, you know, you don't have to. You know, I mean, that's I think the other reason there's more clarity in this book is that, you know, what I've learned is you don't have to, you know, we have a process.
Right.
You don't have to walk away. You don't have to lose everything.
Yeah.
Like I say in the book, you know, destiny is a choice.
Right.
You know, and I tell the owners, choose your destiny, because we know what to do. We know what value creators do. It's not a secret. It's not a mystery. The question is whether or not you're going to choose your destiny or not.
Exactly right. So I want to take a quick break. I want to come back and actually talk about these power statements. I think one of the things that Chris did really well in Walking into Destiny as compared to Walking into Destiny 1.0 is there's like some big statements and challenges inside of this book that I want to get to. So give us a quick couple minutes. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll see you soon.
Get ready to uncover innovative solutions, build deeper relationships, and share transformational experiences at the Exit Planning Summit this May in Scottsdale, Arizona. The summit is the world's largest exit planning-centric event, bringing together professional advisors and their teams from around the globe. It is the premier conference for people committed to working with business owners, accelerating business value, aligning personal and financial strategies for the business owners, and collaborating with the top professionals in the market today. The transformative experience does not stop when the sessions end. Immerse yourself in a distinctive lifestyle experience that transcends expectation. Join us at the magnificent Five Diamond Resort, the Phoenician, the premier luxury hotel in Scottsdale. Immerse yourself in breathtaking views, impeccable service, and unparalleled amenities. Curate a distinctive resort experience infused with a retreat-like ambiance that transforms your well-being. Learn more and reserve your spot now at www.exitplanningsummit.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exit Now's podcast. If you're just tuning in, we're hanging out with Chris Snider, my dad, and the creator of the methodology that we teach called Value Acceleration, and the author of the book Walking to Destiny, which really was the theme for the show, was diving in. Books on pre-order right now, out on May 22nd. But I wanted to dive in a little bit, kind of the behind-the-scenes look to how it was created and what has changed over the last 7 or so years and 10 years of the value acceleration methodology. And I was saying before break that I think what Dad did this time around that is one of the best parts of the book is that he left you with a few challenges or just some pretty big power statements that I think are intriguing, certainly to the advisor who supports the owner. But as an owner myself, if I picked this up and simply just read the back cover, would be like, well, you got my attention. So two things, Dad, that you say in the last sentence and paragraph of the kind of intro on the back cover of the book, it says that basically, to summarize, if you've executed the exit planning process, the value acceleration methodology, if you've taken the steps to do this, you will increase your wealth likely 5 to 10 times. I mean, that's a bold statement. And then I thought the closing of this book really just capped it all off, and certainly as an owner reading your book, more motivating as a closer.
Yeah. And
you just the sub chapter, if you will, here, the section of the last chapter says, "Do you have the desire?" And it basically ends with the sentence I'll read directly. It says, "Secure your success alongside other value creators. Discover, prepare, and decide what your walk to destiny will ultimately be. Destiny is a choice. Choose to receive yours." I think it goes back to how we started the show.
Yeah.
Like it's not an and or, it's a kind of together statement, and it's a choice. So just talk to me about these power statements and how it relates.
Well, the choice one is, like we were talking before the break, is it's not it's not a mystery. It's not a secret. Like,
Right.
What do value creators do? I've studied them. I've worked with them. All the CEPAs have worked with. We know what a value creator versus a lifestyle owner is. It's not a secret what they do. We know what they do.
Right.
And Walking to Destiny is built around what they do. So my challenge to the business owners is, do you have the desire to emulate them? Right? It's not an easy path by any means, right?
Yeah.
But it's a path you can choose or choose not to do it, and if you do choose that path and decide to emulate and become a value creator, you will unlock massive wealth and live a more holistic life. And it really gets down to not how to do it. It's a question of, are you going to choose to do it or not?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's your choice. Now, the 5 to 10 times wealthier is just strictly math. And, I am with math.
Yeah.
Right? So So most business owners have 80% of their wealth locked up in their businesses. So let's say you're looking at an owner's personal financial statement, just using round numbers, right? It's $10 million in net worth. It's likely $8 million of that is locked in the business, and they have $2 million outside the business. If we're able to unlock that wealth, their wealth, real wealth, their reality goes from 2 million to 10 million, which is 5 times. Exactly. So just unlocking the wealth that's in your present business is likely to make you 5 times wealthier.
It's true.
Okay?
It's true. Yeah.
Now you add on a value acceleration, value enhancement, and I'm driving multiple, and I'm driving income, and I'm driving value. What I tell them is it's not, unheard of, or it's not out of the realm to think that I could actually increase my wealth by 10 times.
Well, you're increasing wealth almost every
year. If I
year.
grow my business, right? Now I grow my business. Now I have $20 million of wealth, right? With 16 million locked in my business. And, so now I've gone from 2 million to 20 million. That's 10 times. That's not unthinkable using value acceleration. Again, it's just a matter of choice. We know what to do. It's a matter of choosing to do it or not.
Exactly right. Well, folks, I appreciate you guys all hanging out with us, and Dad, thanks for coming in. He'll be back in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. I think I actually have you back in the fourth quarter on your birthday, doing a little birthday show on December 27th. I mean, I guess I haven't asked you to be in it yet, but that is when I had you pegged to come in and do it and have a little birthday show. But folks, grab your copy of Walking to Destiny at walkingtodestiny.com. If you want to join Chris in the author showcase, where we'll have some books for you at the Exit Planning Summit, get your first maybe 600 copies will be released. Join us at the Exit Planning Summit again in May 22nd in Scottsdale. But, Dad, thanks for coming in and hanging out again, and we'll see you guys all soon. Thanks.